Ms. Myers, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you applying for this position, this math position that we have open at the middle school. And again, thank you for responding to the interview, to the invitation to come and interview with us. I'm very excited to learn more about your experience in the classroom and what you may provide to us on this campus if we do reach out to you for this position. I just want to let you know this is a relaxed conversation. Just be yourself. Don't feel nervous. We're just going to ask a few questions and give you time to even ask some of your own questions that you may have. So just to get started, tell me about your teaching experience and what led you to apply for this position.
Okay, well, let's see. I am finishing my 13th year teaching.
Wow.
And so, as you can see from my resume, my first 5 years were at a high school, and I taught high school math, starting from Algebra 1 all the way to calculus. So I got to see geometry, Algebra 2, and got very familiar with high school math level. And then we relocated for a year, and the only opening was a 4th grade math position in kindergarten. So I took the 4th grade math job.
I don't blame you. Yeah.
And then I really enjoyed it. It was so fun to be able to teach at that foundation level because I knew where it was going to build. So that was a really good learning year for me. And then when we moved back to the area, there wasn't a junior high math position, and I decided, well, I've done a little bit of everything, so let me see what junior high is about. And I've been doing junior high for 6 years now.
Wow. And I hope you enjoy the music. This is not our usual interview music, but this is our time for the kids to know that class is about to start. So forgive me for that. But just to build off of what you're saying, you are very well-rounded. I mean, you've had experience. I mean, with the little ones, and you did say high school?
I did high school.
High school is what? High school and the little ones, middle school? That is perfect. I'm so sorry for this song. It's a good song, though. And so the second half of the question was, what led you to apply for this particular position? Is there any? We'll give it a second. It'll be done in just a second. Sorry.
Less than a minute.
Less than a minute. Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right. Perfect.
Well, I have worked at the same district for the majority of my teaching career, so I was kind of ready to see what else is out there, what other things are other districts doing that we're not doing, just to become more, I guess, well-rounded in that area.
Right. Well, that's good. Well, that's wonderful. Wonderful. So how do you plan and deliver instruction to meet the needs of all learners?
Okay. Well, first thing is I kind of look at their data from the previous year, so it kind of gives me an idea of which students I have that have struggled in math in the past and which are already coming in successful in math. And then that helps me pair them, because I do assign seating. That's one of the things that I'm a big supporter of.
Right.
And so that gives me information to start off with until I really get to know which kids. And then I have to look at the TEKS, obviously, and then I make sure that as I'm teaching that I'm hitting those TEKS, and that I know the previous TEKS, so I know my kids are coming in and they should know these skills, and if they don't know them, then that's where, like, bell ringers, if I need to do a pre-lesson before I do the actual on grade level lesson, I do that first. And then I make sure that my assignments give immediate feedback. So I'm really big on digital assignments so that the kids aren't spending a whole class period doing it all wrong. And then I won't know until I grade it. And so I love things like IXL, Wayground. There's a lot of things out there now where the kids can put their answer in, and if they're getting them wrong, then I know, okay, I need to stop and help this kid. And then the other kids that are more advanced, they can continue working on, and they don't have to wait on the other kids in their classes that are still struggling.
You sound very data driven. I mean, before the year starts, you said you're already looking at their performance on that previous test. You want to see your kind of grouping them, getting an idea of, okay, who is successful in what area. I like how you're looking at live data, especially through IXL. That's really good. It kind of keeps the lesson, like you said, you don't want to waste their time.
Right.
And I think that is a really great strategy. That's wonderful, wonderful. How do you use, well, you kind of answered my next question. It says, how do you use data to guide your instruction? And it sounds like you've already kind of answered that, but is there anything else, any other data points that you like to look at?
Well, I also like the students to kind of be aware of their data, because some of them, like if they took a STAR test the previous year, they might not be aware of how they did. And so one of the things whenever we have like a big comprehensive test coming up, I like to show them. I'm like, hey, you scored a 30 or a 40, because a lot of the kids that I've worked with are the ones that have struggled. And so I like to show them, like, this is where you're at. I said, now you get another chance. Are you going to stay there, or are you going to move up? And I do show them afterwards. So even if they went from a 30 to a 45, I want them to be encouraged by that. And I tell them up front, like, I don't expect you to make a 70. I just want to see, are you growing?
Yes.
And then hopefully by May, they have some confidence in themselves, like, okay, I've already showed so much improvement this year, so whatever the score is, like, we're gonna all be happy with it.
Yeah, oh, I love that, I love that. So moving on from the data, because data is great, but data is not everything, right? We have to look at our classroom management styles. You know, when we are teaching, what would you say, what would best describe your classroom management style?
I will say, I do like structure, like I do have like expectations and routines, but I also want my kids to not feel like they're in prison. I don't want them to feel like they can't speak, they can't move. Like I do have kind of a relaxed environment, because I want kids to feel comfortable. I want them, especially with math, where a lot of them kind of grow up thinking that I'm bad at math. And so my job is like, no, like, there are things that you probably struggle in, but I'm here, you're not alone. I'm here to bring you up. And so I want them to want to ask for help, to ask questions, if I'm helping a kid, I want them to feel comfortable they can ask the partner that they have next to them. So it's a little bit of that. I'm also really big, and I always tell my kids, like, the first day, like, I'm gonna do the best I can to make math fun. Because I feel like if kids are having fun, then they're more willing to learn and they want to participate. Is every day fun? No. Like, we're gonna take notes. We do have to have that practice. But once I feel like they have a little bit of skills under their belt, then okay, now let's use this skill and let's do something fun with it. They could use games. They're pretty competitive at the junior high level.
Right, sorry.
No, it's a friend, it's okay.
Right. So, yeah, expanding on that, on the fun, because you know, as a kid, math was probably my worst subject. I know. Fun, you know, I noticed you mentioned games, IXL. Is there anything else, you know, I don't know, I'm just throwing this out there. Have you ever done maybe like competitions or reward systems or things for certain classes or students to, you know, to encourage that growth throughout the year, or that engagement rather? Anything in particular, like particular examples?
So I do like to reward my kids for showing growth. So I've done it based on like classes. Okay. So I'll show every class, like, this is your average. I got all your scores, and my fourth period average was, I'll say, like a 54. That was the class average. My third period's class average was a 70 or something. And then I'll tell them, I said, this is just based on growth. And so I will do I've done a pizza party before, I've done like chips, snacks, because I like to be rewarded for doing good things, the right thing. So I also want to reward them as well.
But can I ask you this?
Yes.
Is it based off of, I like what you're saying, would this be a class versus class, or them versus themselves? Like, are we talking which class has the highest score versus which classes, plural, are showing growth?
I have done, it varies. Typically I do it based class versus class on which class shows the most growth.
Okay.
I've done, I do like to reward the kid in each class period that showed the most growth. And then sometimes in there, if I have the money, sometimes I'll do the kid that had the highest score in each class, because I want to reward them, because they,
Yes.
even if they didn't show the most growth, they're still being successful.
You're being consistent.
Yeah, and
Right.
so I like to reward them.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's great. That's great. And that kind of actually builds into my next question. It says, how do you build relationships with your students? What would you say is your style of relationship building?
Well, at the beginning of the school year, I do have them fill out a form and ask questions like, what are your hobbies? Do you have any siblings? What do you do for fun? I even put on there like, what are qualities of a good math teacher in your opinion, so I can kind of see what they're expecting, what they would like, and I read them. It might take me about 2 weeks after school starts to kind of go through them all,
Right.
but then I have a baseline, so I know this kid plays video games, so I might ask like, oh, what video games do you play? Or this kid likes to read, what books are you reading? And I try to find a connection that I can make with all of them. And it takes me a while to hit all of them, but I'm big on that. I'm really big on having all the kids' names down by the first week of school.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
but I do have a system, like I give them assigned seats the first day.
Okay.
And I tell them, I said, you are sitting here, and they sit there for about 2 weeks. I said, you're gonna sit in this seat, because when I take roll, when I call on kids, I have an assigned seat, and I know this kid sits here. And it's kind of funny, because sometimes when I'm learning their names, I might call the kid third period who sat there second period, because in my mind, this kid sits in this seat.
Right.
And so it sometimes, especially they look similar, then it
yeah.
really throws me off.
Oh, yeah.
But I want them to know that I care enough that I want to call you by your individual name early on. So that's kind of something to motivate me. Like, no, I'm going to learn their names quick.
Yes.
And then I try to ask questions about them, because I feel like if I'm the one doing if it's always me talking and them working, it's hard to make those relationships. So I try to ask a little question like, how was your weekend? Or did you do anything fun? Or what did you do in your other classes? To build the relationship with questions.
Right.
And then I do, I know most schools have that policy where you're outside during the passing period. I try to, if I see them in the hallway, say hi to them. And then as they come in, greet them. And I would say probably the last thing that I do that helps build relationships, which they don't realize that I'm doing it, is when we are doing lessons and I call on kids, I make sure to try to call every kid every day. Even if it's a basic question. Okay, what's the next step? Or what did your, because I want them to realize that them being present, like that matters. To me at least. And so I want them to know that I will call on you every day.
Yeah.
So you need to be here.
Right.
Yeah.
That's and that also, I think that goes back to setting expectations, because you're also expecting them to participate.
Right, and they learn real quick, especially with the assigned seats. That helps me set the tone at the beginning. It's like, okay, you're gonna answer this because I need to say your name.
Right.
And I'm gonna, we're gonna practice this. So I would say early on they realize, oh, she's gonna call on me. She knows my name.
She goes, yeah, I love that. Oh, that's good. So building that, I love how you that's impressive enough to learn that many names in the first week. But I like that you have a system. That's a really good. I may have to steal that idea for some of my teachers. That's great. How do you support struggling students and challenge high achievers? I think sometimes as teachers we can end up focusing more on one end of the spectrum than the other. And so how do you balance that out? What give me some examples maybe for both ends that you may have.
Well, like I said earlier, I do like to pair up, and I do put the high kids with the high kids, the average kids together, and then the struggling kids, I put them together so that whenever they have their assigned seat, they probably do not realize that that's how I'm assigning it. I also, personality comes in play there too.
True.
You can be a high student, but if you're gonna be a disruption, then you might not need to be with another high student. But so I put all of that together because I feel like whenever they do get their assignment, that independent practice, that my high kids won't need me as much, so I can trust them to do their work. And then whenever you're struggling and you're sitting next to another kid that struggles, I think it builds them like, oh, I'm not the only one who doesn't know how to do it. And it's kind of funny because I'll walk towards them, and if neither of them are working, then I know like, okay, then I need to step in here. So I'm able to meet their needs. And then with my higher level kids, I've noticed that a lot of them do finish early, and so I encourage them. And some of them like this, some of them don't. That I'm like, well, you're done. There's only one of me. I'm gonna need you to step up and kind of help some of these kids that you see in your. So then now I have like a second teacher in there who is, not only do they know it, but they're practicing the skill of teaching someone else, and so they have to know it well enough that they can explain how to do it. And again, you know, some personalities love that,
right?
And they'll tell me later on, like, oh, thank you so much, I was able to teach blah blah blah. And other kids like, I don't know it well enough to explain it. You know, so it kind of helps both of their needs, and it helps me too.
Well, yeah, right. Yeah, two birds with one stone, I suppose. I like that idea of having kids help teach. I think for a couple of reasons. Number one, it helps them take ownership of what they're doing, and then secondly, I mean, to be a good student, or maybe I'm getting this mixed up. Maybe to be a good teacher, you have to be a good student, I think is what they say. So for them to learn it, to be able to explain it, you have to know it clearly, and I find that is applicable to everything, and so I think that really reinforces it. I think that's a great method. That's wonderful. Wow. Okay, so moving along. Well, you kind of hit this, but it says, what role does collaboration play in your teaching? I've seen collaboration with students on the higher end, helping out with students who may need some support, but in general, what role does collaboration play in your teaching?
Do you mean more like with the people in my department?
Yes,
more
so in that area, yes.
Well, I mean, our department's kind of small, which is fine. Yeah. But we do meet weekly, even if it's informal, just to kind of see, like, this is what we're going to teach. What are some ways that we've taught it in the past? Are there ways we can improve it? Because I feel like as a teacher, you shouldn't always do the same thing just because you've always done it. You should be growing just like your kids, and you should be open to like, I did this last year, but is there a better way of doing it? And I feel like you get that talking to other teachers who have a different point of view. Right. And so, for example, one of my coworkers told me that there's this website kind of like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? But obviously you can't because of copyright, so they've changed the name to Rags to Riches. But it's the same idea. You get a question, it's A, B, C, D, you get $100 or something if you get it right. And it's all online, the kids get immediate feedback. And so now that we're doing STAR Prep, it's like, how can we keep kids engaged? Because I know they're tired. They're tired of doing the same thing over and over again. So I've never heard of it, and he had. And so it was great to be like, hey, he's done this in the past. If the kids don't get the question right on the $100 value, then they get another one similar to it. But if they do get it right, it moves them up to the 200, you know, all the way to the $1 million question that's supposed to be the highest level. And then once the kids achieve that, we have these little $1 million fake bills that the kids can get as rewards. So it's like, it's things like that. Like if you're just doing you miss out on all the other things that are out there that other teachers can provide. So yes, I'm big on being a team player and learning from others, for sure.
Oh, that's good. I love that. I'll have to. What is it? Rags to
riches. You gotta pay for it.
Oh, you gotta pay for it. Oh,
so
no.
So that's the downfall.
Right. Oh man.
So we're on the street. We're gonna be doing a lot of rags to riches for the next year.
As teachers, usually that's our dream, right? Right? Yeah. No. Oh my gosh. Well, that is a great. I love that. You just kind of feed each other, and that's what you have to do. I mean, when you're in a department, you're not an island. I mean, you've got to be able to support each other. And would you say? I know that you said that you guys go over when you have your meetings, that you go over your units, your tests. You know, I'm assuming that includes data.
It does.
Okay. So just going over your points, your strong points, your weak points, whatever. Okay. That's
And I
good.
will say that the trend is very similar. Like, if they struggle in my class in this skill, 99% of the time they're struggling in their class too. So a lot of times they're like, okay, this is low all across. What can we do to improve this?
Good. Very good. Okay. Let's see. Another question. How do you communicate with parents and guardians? What's your kind of your?
I have a procedure for that
Oh,
too.
good.
You know, after so many years, you kind of learn quickly. Like there's ways that work and ways that don't.
Yes.
So recently, I would say the first 3 weeks of school, whenever we have the first progress report, we have Parent Square. I'm not sure what platform y'all use, but
we do too. Yeah.
So, okay, good.
Yeah.
And so I send a message, and again, like my class sizes were probably smaller than most, so I was able to do more maybe than most people, which I understand too. I would send a short Parent Square to every parent, and it was very quick. It was like, you know, I'm so excited to have your child in class, and I would put their grade on there because honestly, by the first 3 weeks, everyone's passing. So all you can really say is good things.
Right.
So I'm like, your child has an 80, 85 in my class. You know, I'm looking forward to working with you throughout the school year. Let me know if you need anything. And so I kind of break it up. I would say it takes about a week. I do a couple every day, and so I've hit every parent. And only a handful respond, but at least I know that I reached out first. And it wasn't for anything else besides that I wanted you to know who I am. And then whenever the next grading period comes, there's times that I have to reach out because they're failing, but I don't feel as bad because I already made that connection.
The ice was already broke.
Yes.
Oh, I like that.
And I do use Parent Square because it's convenient, and that's what our school, you know, kind of pushes. So if I have a student failing, I do say, hey, you know, this is why your child's failing. Normally it's either a low test grade, and if I feel like the student is very capable of bringing it back up on their own, I will say, hey, you know, he is failing, but we have 3 more weeks, very capable of, you know, getting the grade back up. So the parent knows if it's something, because it's a refusal, then I do have to put on there like, hey, this is what's going on. I'm reaching out to you, hoping that us together can get him to start bringing up his grade. And then if I don't hear back from the parents that I need to hear back from, that's when I put in the message, hey, if I don't hear from you, I will call you this day at this time. And honestly, just them knowing that I'm planning on calling, they respond. And they're like, oh, I will talk to them. And I'm like, oh, well, thank you. And so I keep that communication open early on. And then I would say maybe once a semester, even the kids that aren't failing, I shout out to the parents again, like, hey, your child still doing great, you know, still love having them. And then the second semester is the sweet one, because normally the parents will, even if their kid has never done anything bad or ever failed, they will respond and be like, thank you so much for helping and that's where it's a win. I'm like, I would have never had those conversations if I didn't reach out just for positives. You know, so.
I think that's, you know, I think at times, especially, I am also familiar with Parent Square and how, you know, I think a lot of teachers will just reach out with those broad messages, you know, to all parents, you know, and you know, announcements, I guess you would call those. And so the fact that you are really making the effort to reach each individual parent, I mean, one-on-one, and you know, they don't realize it that you're doing that for all of your kids. They just see the messages between you and them. But that is a really that's huge.
And again, I did not start off my teaching career doing that. It took, I would say, about a decade of teaching for me to learn, like, hey, these things matter, and because they matter, I need to be intentional.
That's it. I love that word. That is absolutely correct. Intentional. Let me ask you this. We're gonna get into the weeds a little bit here.
Okay.
Describe a challenging situation. Again, this can be anything, behavioral or whatever you would say. A challenging situation that you faced and how you handled it. Again, it doesn't have to be with the student. It could be professionally, or if you have a couple of examples, feel free to share. So whatever anything you can think of.
All right, well, there's probably about two that I can think of in the
Sure.
last 6 or 7 years.
Okay.
Okay. One of them, it had to do, it was right after COVID, and we were kind of doing this low grade where we had a few kids come 3 days a week, and then a few kids come it was weird. It was like a Monday, Wednesday schedule, Tuesday, Thursday, and so that in itself kind of makes getting the classroom procedures and expectations, for me, it was kind of difficult because I wouldn't see these kids. And so finally, it got to the point where all the kids came back, which was fine because that was normal, but I felt like it was hard for me to have set those, this is the rule, this is the expectation. So I had a class where when they all came in, I did not realize they were all best friends. Yes, and so it was a lot of like me trying to teach and then wanting to converse now that they haven't seen each other, and it was constant redirection. I mean, I tried to follow everything by the book, like, hey, I'm trying to teach. If this continues, we're gonna do lunch detention, we're gonna do like a parent contact, but it didn't get better. And so I really like had to think, like, how am I going to handle this? Because there was, I would say, a group of 5, and they just all fed off each other. So finally it got to the point where I did get my administrator involved, and I was like, hey, listen, it's hard to teach because all they want to do is talk. And I can't keep writing them up all day. I can't keep calling their parents because it's not really solving the issue. And I said, one of them needs a schedule change. I said, if I can just get one removed, it's gonna change the dynamics, and everyone, me and the kids, everyone will be better off.
Oh yeah.
And so they thought about it, and honestly, I was very thankful because I did have support with my administrator, and so one student did get moved to a different class. And let me tell you, did it solve every problem? No, but it made the rest of the school year where even the one that moved out, just her not being with her friends, like she was more engaged, she was doing her work, she was asking for help. Like I got to see her bloom in an environment that she would have never had. The other ones, I still had to wrestle, but not as much. And I was willing to, fight the other ones, not physically, obviously, but. And so that was one thing where it's like, I know I needed more support. It wasn't, I did as much as I thought I could do at that moment.
Right. Well, that I think that two things there. That luckily that you had admin that was able to work with you in that situation. That's huge, and we've been in that boat before. But I would say the other thing is, you picked your battles,
right?
And I think that you had exhausted everything before you went to that, and so I think that showed that you were willing to try other methods first. And when you realized it, and it's funny that one student, we've all been there. One kid can change the entire dynamics of a class, and that when as a teacher before, I've seen it where when one kid's absent, it's like a different class.
It is.
I'm telling you, and so. But I get it. I totally understand it. And you said there was another example?
There was another one. So the other one, I had a student who, had paperwork, not because of academic. It was like emotional disability. Okay. So when she was good, but when she was struggling, it was very obvious. And the first semester, she was fine. Like she did what she needed to do. I can tell that she wanted that positive, like, praise, I guess. Like she wanted me to acknowledge that she's doing the right thing. And it was great. Second semester, I don't know what was going on in her personal life, but she was absent all the time. And it got to the point where she was failing my class, which she had never done before. And so I could tell that the relationship was kind of rocky between us because she had never failed before. We had an okay relationship, but she was failing, she was absent, she was behind, and then I became the person at fault here. And so she wanted to be moved out of my class. And so when I had to talk to the parent, because I did communicate with the parents, like, hey, she's failing, she has all this missing assignments.
Right.
Her mom at first was very like, well, it's you because you're not helping her, you're going too fast. And I really had to, tell the parent, like, listen, she's been in my class all year, this has never been an issue. And why was it not an issue? Because she was here in class. And when she's here in class, she's able to do the work and she can be successful, but she hasn't been. And so she's so behind now. And so she's gonna have to put in the work to pass. And so, maybe it was me too, but like I told her, it's like, I would understand it if it had been like this early on.
Right.
And so the mom did kind of agree, and she was like, you're right. I feel like a lot of the things she's saying is not true. And so, she failed that quarter, but it was what it was.
Right.
You can only help so much.
Yeah, that's so true. Well, it's good that you were quick to have that parent communication and again, by setting the expectation, meeting, discussing with the parent and allowing her to kind of see the full picture when she was only looking at it through the lens of her child. And then I think you did a really good job communicating with her and helping her to kind of understand the bigger picture. That's big. Well, I gotta ask you this one. This is kind of my last big question. Why do you want to work at this school?
Well, kind of like I said earlier, like being in that same district for so long, and nothing against the district, but I am ready kind of to see what else is out there.
Sure.
And I've heard good things, so I'm gonna just
thank you.
Put myself out there and see if I, a worthy candidate.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, let me just ask you a couple of things, because I do apologize. I feel like I only kind of glanced over your resume here. You have quite an extensive resume. I'll be brief on this because I would love to hear any questions you have for me, but I do notice that you have a minor in Spanish. So are you you are a Spanish speaker, I take it?
I am.
How much does that play in and I'm asking because we do have a very high Hispanic population here, and a lot of kids whose parents, they don't quite speak English, and so would you say that you've been able to utilize that skill for a lot of parent communications and whatnot?
It does help because the students are aware that if I need to speak Spanish to their parents, I will, and I have had to, and I have had to do it for other teachers as well, so that's always fun.
Well, I was actually going to ask you, have you ever been able to make yourself available to help other parents, or rather teachers, communicate with parents? So you answered that. That is a very, that's a wonderful thing there. I noticed that your certificate is still valid for another 6 years. That's wonderful. Looks like you've been involved in a lot of extracurriculars. The ambassador program, could you just quickly maybe explain what that is? I'm just curious about that.
Yes, so our district has an ambassador program where they have a few teachers per campus that help kind of boost morale, because I know there's times in the school year where we need a little pick-me-up, so we kind of plan monthly events, kind of organize it, coordinate it.
Is this for the students or for the teachers?
It's for the teachers. We have kind of branched out a little bit and have had parents help contribute to students because we've noticed that there is kind of a lack of that at our campus. And so it started off as a teacher morale, and we kind of added the little side note for kids as well.
Oh, good. Oh, that's good. That's wonderful. Well, let me just ask you if you have any questions that you might have for me, and this is your chance to maybe get to know our campus a little bit better, and anything at all that may come to mind.
Well, I know what the culture was at my school, so I'm kind of curious to see what the culture is. Well, on your side, what you do. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. I think culture is everything. Culture can make or break a campus. We are big on relationships, so we're very relationship driven, and that's across the board. Not only with our coworkers, but also with our students. And I love really what you were speaking about earlier speaks to my heart, because you sound like you are a very relational person. The way you get to know your kids early on in the year, you're getting to know their hobbies, their interests, besides their names, and parents as well. So it really is something that we're big on, and that kind of leads us into more of a stronger team mindset. Teachers that support each other daily, as you mentioned, just weekly or daily, but even just on a whim. If a teacher needs support, we want it takes a village, and so we want each other to. We want to be flexible and knowing that we can help each other. And so growth is not only something that we encourage for our students, excuse me, but it's also something that we encourage, for our staff as well. And I think again, just the aspect of being very relational allows for those things to happen. So yeah, I would say our culture, again, we invest in each other from the top down, and so that's a big part of our culture here, is just loving on each other.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yes. Any other questions that you may have?
So, like I said before, being in the same district, I kind of know what programs we use, what testing platforms we have. So if I were to, come here and be at a new district, which I know you probably use something that's different, who would be the person that I would reach out to for support?
Oh my gosh. Well, we have some amazing teachers in our school. If we brought you into the math department, we have a gentleman named Mr. Dewitt who is just fantastic. He's been teaching math for years now. He's been at our campus, oh gosh, maybe this is his 5th year, I believe, somewhere along that line. But anyways, he would be your lead, or he'd be your mentor, and he would be the lead as well. He would be assigned to guide you, kind of walk you through the way we do things here. Of course, you're not bound to what he says. He's certainly there going to encourage you and to help you grow, and also to just kind of show you the ropes, just some of the housekeeping things. We do have instructional coaching with regular feedback that comes from myself, and we do have built-in collaboration time so that you are not working alone. We do have PLCs quite often, usually in a weekly manner. In fact, we do build in half days into our schedule, so that teachers can have time to get together in their departments, just focus on, hey, here are some areas where, whether it's data driven, those weak teaks that the kids need to improve on, or just strategies that have helped. I love how you mentioned earlier the rags to riches, little things that, hey, this is something I'm doing, works for me, something I'm enjoying, you should try it too. So there's a lot of opportunity built into our schedules to where we can allow teachers to meet up, partner up, and to kind of help each other grow. But again, Mr. Dewitt would be the teacher who would be helping you out with that area. That's a great question. Yeah. Do you have another one?
I do have another one. Like I told you before, my situation where I did have a class that needed a student moved out. And what would the discipline procedure look like at your campus?
Right, so when it comes to how we handle discipline here, we want it to be consistent. We have very consistent expectations across this campus. But we focus on teaching behavior. We don't want to just punish a kid.
Okay.
We clearly, for every action there is a reaction. But we do want our kids to understand that we want to understand the deeper roots of behavior outside of just you're late again, we're gonna punish you. But here's the other thing. We support our teachers and we give them the steps when needed. Now, my thing is, if it can be taken care of in-house, or rather in class, let's start there. You know, it sounded like in the situation you had with that one young lady that you exhausted all the steps that you could have possibly exhausted before you reached out to admin. And again, you know, every teacher has their own style, their own manner. But we do like to see, you know, if Johnny is bothering Susie in class, and if it's consistent, you know, well, I'm going to hope that before that news came to me, that teacher had separated the two of them, right? Possibly had already made parent contact, had, you know, before we just suddenly have Johnny in the office dealing with Johnny. So a lot of this is just, we want to see it, our teachers, but by all means, even with that said, anytime a teacher does need support, we're there. We're going to be there for that teacher. We're going to be able to step in as needed. But we do like to have teachers who have that confidence to be able to have the classroom management styles that would allow them to make those decisions that think, okay, how are we going to take care of this before we just start to just send everyone to the office. I hope I'm making sense there. That's important for us in that regard. So that's a very good question. Very good question. Is there anything else you want to have?
So moving here, you know, one of my goals is to continue to grow as an educator. What does your district have to offer your teachers?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So we do have leadership roles like PLCs, lead for leads or committees that give our teachers opportunities to meet up within their department. Ongoing professional development opportunities. We're with Region 7, so we always try to partner up with them whenever we can, or we'll have, you know, other schools that we'll partner up with departments for certain trainings throughout the year. We also have extra support for certifications and continued education. So if anybody wants to, you know, I encourage teachers, if you know, you might teach history. We have a young lady who taught history, but her heart was in English, and so we supported her to get that certification, because that's what I would rather her teach something that she loves than come in and teach something that her heart is only halfway into. And so we were able to actually give her the support that she needed to be able to transition into a role as a English teacher, and now she's been doing that for the last few years, and she absolutely loves it, and I can see that that rubs off on the kids as well. So that's another area where we try to give opportunities for professional growth. Boy, these are great questions. How about one more? How about one more question?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know that I have contract hours, but what are your expectations for teachers outside of the classroom?
Right, that is a good question. When it comes to outside of the class, well, we do have school events from time to time, especially in our area where we have a lot of very diverse. And so we try to have sort of these outreaches where we'll celebrate cultures and ethnicities and especially Hispanic Heritage Month, Black History Month. We do try to have these community-wide initiatives because we want buy-in, you know, especially from our parents. And so we do ask that our teachers join for some of those events. And of course that kind of falls in line with consistent parent communication. We know that, you know, not all parents are going to answer at all time, you know, between the hours of 8 and 4 o'clock. You know, we may ask that our teachers take time even in the early evening, whether it's 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, to make phone calls to parents that normally may not be able to communicate during those school hours. And so, you know, games, we don't force you to go to games, but we encourage teachers to come whenever they can to support the team and just to love on our kids, because when it's one thing to make an announcement and for the principal, for me to say that Johnny scored 20 points in the game last night. But if you walk up to him first thing, Johnny, awesome job last night. I saw you. You were on fire. You know what that does to him.
Right.
You know, and so we really encourage as much, just as much investment and intentionality. I love the word you said there. That's going to be my power word. Intentionality for parents, or excuse me, for teachers to be involved with our kids and investing in them. And so these are just some of the ways, even outside of the classroom, that we would encourage that. And so, well, Ms. Myers, I just want to thank you again for your time today. I appreciate you coming here and just having a great chat. It felt more like a conversation than an interview. Maybe not for you, but for me it did. And again, we do have other candidates that have applied for this position, so we're going to have to do our due diligence. We're going to be reviewing all those candidates, but we are going to be in touch with you soon. And so thank you again. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and look forward to touching base with you soon. So,
Well, thank you so much.
absolutely. You have a wonderful day.
You
now.
too.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.